At last, Donald Trump will be sentenced. But what is the question? Let's get into the article that was just previously posted by the Associated Press. Headlining: Judge sets Trump's sentencing in hush money case for January 10th, but signals no jail time. The article begins: in an extraordinary turn, a judge Friday set President-elect Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money criminal case for January 10, little over a week before he is due to return to the White House, but indicated he wouldn't be jailed. The developments nevertheless leaves Trump on course to be the first president to take office convicted of felony crimes. Manhattan Judge Juan, who presided over Trump's trial, signaled in a written decision that he'd sentence the former president and future president to what's known as unconditional discharge, in which a conviction stands but the case is closed without jail time, a fine, or probation. Trump can appear virtually for sentencing if he chooses. Rejecting Trump's push to dismiss the verdict and throw out the case on presidential immunity grounds, and because of his impending second term, Merchan wrote that only bringing finality to this matter would serve the interests of justice. He said he sought to balance Trump's ability to govern unencumbered by the case against other interests. The Supreme Court July immunity ruling on presidential immunity and the public's expectation that all are equal and no one is above the law, and the importance of respecting a jury's verdict. The article continues, begin quote, this court is simply not persuaded that the first factor outweighs the others at this stage of the proceeding. Merchan, in an 18-page decision, wrote, Trump's communications director Stephen Chung reiterated that the case, which Trump has long described as illegitimate, should be dismissed outright. The article continues, begin quote, there should be no sentencing, and President Trump will continue fighting against these hoaxes until they are all dead. Chung, in a statement, said he didn't elaborate on Trump's potential next legal moves. Former Manhattan Judge Diane Kiesel said the ruling can't be appealed under New York law, but Trump nonetheless might try to appeal it. In any event, he can appeal his conviction, a step that can't be taken until he is sentenced, but he won't be able to pardon himself. Trump's case was tried in state court, but presidential pardons only apply to federal crimes. Trump is due to take office on January 20th, 2025 as the first former president to be convicted of a crime and the first criminal convicted to be elected to the office. The Republican was found guilty in May of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, a verdict he has decried as rigged, disgraceful, result of a witch hunt pursued by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who is a Democrat. District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office declined to comment on Mershon's ruling. The charges involved an alleged scheme to hide a hush money payment to porn actor and actress Stormy Daniels in the last weeks of Trump's first campaign in 2016. The payout was made to keep her from publicizing claims she'd had sex with the married Trump years earlier. He says that her story is false and that he did nothing wrong. The case centered on how Trump accounted for reimbursing his personal attorney / fixer at the time, Michael Cohen, for the Daniels payment. Cohen on Friday called Mershon's decision to go ahead with the sentencing judicious and appropriate. I apologize about that, folks. I had a brain moment there. Oops. Moving along. The conviction left Trump 78, facing the possibility of the punishment ranging from a fine or probation or up to 4 years in prison. His sentencing initially was set for July 11, then postponed twice at the defense's request. Then, after Trump's November 5th election, Mershon delayed the sentencing again so the defense and the prosecution could weigh in on the future of the case. Trump's lawyers urged Mershon to toss it. They said it would otherwise pose an unconstitutional disruptions to the incoming president's ability to run the country. Prosecutors acknowledged there should be some accommodation for his upcoming presidency, but they insisted the conviction should stand. They suggested various options, such as freezing the case during his term or guaranteeing him a no-jail sentence. They also proposed closing the case while formally noting both his conviction and his undecided appeal, a novel idea drawn from what some state courts do when criminal defendants die while appealing their cases. Mershon ruled that Trump's current status as president-elect doesn't afford him the same immunity as a sitting president. Setting the verdict aside and dismissing the case outright would be a drastic step and would undermine the rule of law in immeasurable ways, Mershon wrote. Before Trump's November election, his lawyers sought to reverse his conviction for a different reason. The Supreme Court's immunity decision this past July, which gave presidents broad immunity, protection from criminal prosecution. Trump, who was a private citizen at the time, campaigning for president but neither elected nor sworn in, which Cohen paid Daniels in 2016 of October. He was president when Cohen was reimbursed, and Cohen testified that they discussed the repayment arrangement in the Oval Office. The Trump hush money attorneys contended that the jury got some evidence that should have been shielded by presidential immunity. Mershon later rejected that argument, but in the meantime, the election raised new issues while urging Mershon to nix the conviction. Trump also sought to move the case to federal court where he could also assert immunity. A federal judge repeatedly said no to Trump moving the case to federal court, but Trump appealed. The hush money case was the only one of Trump's 4 criminal indictments to go to trial. Since the election, Special Counsel Jack Smith has ended the 2 federal cases he brought against Donald Trump. One pertained to Trump's efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss to Democratic and current and outgoing President Joe Biden. The other alleged he hoarded classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate after he left the White House after his first term ended 4 years ago on January 20th. A separate state-level election interference case in Georgia is in limbo after an appeals court removed prosecutor Fani Willis from the case. Trump's lawyers argued that Jack Smith's decision to dismiss the federal indictments against Trump should propel a dismissal of the New York criminal hush money case as well. But Mershon said he found that argument to be unpersuasive, noting that the hush money case was in a vastly different stage. Well, folks, fortunately, that right there is gonna conclude it for our video today. But before we do, I want to read you guys the 18-page ruling that Mershon wrote. Here is that ruling. Mershon says on May 30th, 2024, a New York County jury returned a verdict finding defendant guilty after trial on 34 felony counts. It doesn't say felony counts, but that's what those are the classification of the charges. 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in an attempt in the first degree to cover up a sexual encounter to Stormy Daniels. That same day, this court set a deadline of June 13, 2024 for the filing of post-trial motions. The deadline passed without the filing of any motions. The court set the matter down for the imposing of sentence to July 11, 2024. However, that date was adjourned to September 18, 2024 as a direct result of the United States Supreme Court decision in the matter of Trump versus United States 603 U.S. 593 2024. On August 14th, 2024, defendant requested an adjournment of sentencing until after the 2024 presidential election. He wrote, "The people do not oppose defendant's request." As a result, on September 6, 2024, he wrote, "This court adjourned sentencing, if necessary, to November 26, 2024. On November 10, 2024, the following, he wrote, "The 2024 presidential election defendant requested a stay of the existing scheduled dates and eventual dismissal of the case in the interests of justice," he wrote, "under the U.S. Supreme Court decision in Trump versus United States and the presidential Transition Act of 1963. He wrote on November 22nd, 2024, this court granted defendant leave to file a motion pursuant to Criminal Procedural Law 210.40, one motion to dismiss indictment in furtherance of justice, otherwise known as a Clayton motion, and set a motion schedule. Defendant filed a instant motion on December 2nd, 2024. The people filed their response on December 9, 2024, and defendant filed his reply on December 13, 2024. The following constitutes, he wrote, the decision and order of this court. Defendant argues that the Presidential Immunity Doctrine, the Presidential Transition Act of 1963, and the Supremacy Clause all require dismissal immediately. Defendant's motion at page 1 is conduct by the prosecution. Rulings of this court allegedly in violation of defendant's rights and claimed evidentiary infirmities at trial, which neither present a legal impediment to conviction or together require dismissal of the interests of justice. The allegations of unlawful conduct against claimed or against together dismissal in the interests of justice, the allegations, I already read that one. The New York Criminal County District Attorney's Office, Danny for short, include claims that Danny engaged politically motivated targeting of defendant, unlawfully leaked information about the investigation, tainted the jury pool by making improper public statements, engaged in repeated misinterpretations to this and other courts before, during, and after trial, and suborned perjury from prosecution witnesses Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels. Defendant also accused this court of impermissibly presiding over this matter, despite the existence of an alleged conflict of interest and of imposing an unlawful gag order. A reference to the court's order governing extrajudicial statements. He wrote that on December 16, 2024, the court issued the decision and order denying defendant's separate motion to vacate and dismiss pursuant to Act 330.330. This court recognizes that lawyering by both the prosecution and the defense has been exceptional and spirited throughout the entirety of this case. It is unclear that the people have prosecuted this matter to the best of their ability, and the defense has represented their client zealously. He continued that there have been, however, been instances when the professional advocacy one would expect from members of the bar and officers of the court, and this court language, indeed rhetoric, that has no place in legal pleadings. For example, countless times in their motion to dismiss, counsel accuses the prosecution and this court of engaging in unlawful and unconstitutional conduct. See defendant's motion at page 1, page 6 to 9, page 11, page 43, page 51. These same terms are also peppered throughout defendant's reply. Those motions or those words by defendant mean criminally punishable. Black's Law Dictionary 748 through 749. third pocket edition, viewed in full context, men or context and mindful, of the parties to this action, such as arguments in the broader picture, have the potential to increase if filing all said and done, guys, this is all a bunch of bullcrap. Anyway, that is just all I wanted to read you guys. If you did enjoy this video, please do consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and let me know your guys' feedback down below in the comment section below. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you later. I think that this is a disgrace to justice. Yes, this moment is finally here, which is what we've been waiting for, but he still could have been sentenced to jail time. Not a unconstitutional discharge or whatever. He is gonna sentence supposedly Donald Trump to. I am so disgusted but happy because the sentencing date is finally here, but I am disgusted because of the simple fact that of what Judge Merchan is going to sentence Trump to. That is not enough for our justice system. Unfortunately, I think our justice system is broken. Let me know your guys' feedback. Let me know your guys' opinions. If you did enjoy this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys later.